Hey, good day, everyone. For today, I will be discussing the second basic class of nutrient, uh, which are the protein. So, as what I have said noon, protein is one of the basic classes, one of the three basic classes of nutrients that usually serve as a source of energy. Pero take note na from these three nutrients, along with carbohydrates and fats, ang last na ginagamit ng animal as a source of energy if yung animal is not being fed ay etong protein. Kasi aside from that one, etong mga proteins, their basic forms which are the amino acids, always take note na yung mga excess na amino acids, if there are some in the animal's diet, are not stored for later use. Kaya they are usually degraded or they are usually deaminated following the different pathways. Okay, so if there will be a time pa, if mayroon pa tayong excess na time, then I will be discussing that one, yung mismong mga different pathways. Just like for example, in your carbohydrates, I have discussed yung glycolysis, which is one pathway. So ganito lang din sa protein tsaka sa fats. Meron din silang pathway in order for them to be deaminated. Okay? So here is our topic outline for today. We have the introduction and functions of protein, their classifications, and then the amino acids. Okay, I will be having a separate discussion about the protein digestion and absorption as well as its metabolism. So, as a start, yung history ng proteins, yung word mismo na protein was derived from the Greek word na proteos, which means first or most important by the Dutch chemist na si, let's go back in your history, we have si Gerardus Johannes Mulder. Now, yung proteins natin, they are complex group of compounds which contain the elements na carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen as a regular additional element. No? Aside from the CHON, usually ang proteins, meron din siyang sulfur and phosphorus tsaka iron. Pero in some books, ini-include din nila as protein composition yung elements na iodine and then even yung copper tsaka yung zinc. And aside from that one, they are made up of long chain or sequences of amino acids, no, which vary in relative amounts and kind. So, depende yan kung ano yung kind ng mismong protein na yan, and they are joined together by a peptide band. I will try to show you in the next slide yung mismong peptide band and how these amino acids are being joined together. Okay, so another description ng protein ay they are organic nutrients present in highest concentration in muscle tissues of animals. Meaning to say, yung mga proteins natin, they are the principal constituents of the organ and soft structure ng animal's body. Okay, so in addition for that one, I am always telling you na yung mga proteins natin among all the six basic classes of nutrients, si protein yung pinaka most expensive nutrient to furnish in an animal's diet. Okay, always take note on that one. So, as what I have said kanina, ganito yung peptide bond between an amino acid and then yung carboxyl group. Okay. Now, for the protein itself, yung crude protein na tinatawag natin, which is very familiar na sa inyo kasi ito yung ginagamit natin sa feed formulation and at the same time sa proximate analysis dati. So, these are composed primarily with true proteins or yung proteins that are composed primarily ng mga amino acids. And then the other one is yung non-protein nitrogen or the NPN, which are compounds which are not true protein in nature but contains nitrogen. Okay, so mainly, ang example nito, bakit kina-consider natin to. Meron tayong tinatawag na non-protein nitrogen. Meron silang nitrogen itself, pero etong nitrogen itself, pwedeng ma-convert yan later on by the bacterial actions. Okay? Magiging protein din yan. So mainly ang example nito is yung mga urea, tsaka mga ammonium salts. They are not true protein in nature, pero meron silang nitrogen component na eto mismo can be converted into crude protein. Okay, that is why sa UMMB, if you are familiar from it, yung urea molasses mineral block, yung hard na object na nililik ng mga animals natin as a source of dietary minerals, naglalagay tayo ng urea na fertilizer kasi yun mismo may nitrogen composition na pwedeng ma-convert into crude protein. So papaano ito? Kasi basically, ang karamihan sa mga proteins natin in average, meron silang around 16% na nitrogen, which means that the weight of protein, okay, that the weight of protein nitrogen multiplied by 6.25 equal the weight of protein mismo. So how did we derive from the numerical value na 6.25? Okay, so eto lang is 100 divided by yung sinabi ko kanina na numerical value which is 16. So doon tayo nag-come up ng 6.25 na constant value na ginagamit natin in converting nitrogen composition of a certain feed material into protein mismo. Pero just in addition for it, just jot it down, yung nitrogen naman ng milk is multiplied by 6.30. Kasi yung milk protein mismo, it contains 15.87% na nitrogen. Okay? Now, for the next slide, these are some of the major functions of proteins in the animal's body. So, first one, as what I've said kanina, major structural component in the sense na yung mga proteins, sila yung nagpo-form ng muscles and tissues in the body. Kaya we can see that they are essential for the growth and development of the body. So they are important for life, and ano yung animal tissues that they make up the major structural component? We have yung skin. Then pwede din yung muscles, yung wool ng sheep, yung even feather ng mga poultry, yung tendons. So ano yung mga tendons? Balik tayo sa skeletal system sa anafi ninyo. Sila yung nagko-connect sa mga muscles and bones. Okay, so those are the tendons. And then last one, the eggs. Kasi knowing that eggs, they are also major source of protein. So yung protein mismo, they make up also the structural component ng mga itlog. So this is now in connection dito sa function na to for production. Okay? Then another function of proteins is for metabolic activities as enzymes. Meaning to say, they help in the formation of enzymes and even hormones and antigens. Yung mga antibodies, the digestive juices of the body. So we have yung hydrochloric acid as an example. Then they also regulate body osmotic pressure and acid-base balance. Okay. Then third one is for tissue maintenance and repair. So they help in maintaining yung loss of body tissues and muscles. So tumutulong sila sa pag-repair sa katawan ng animal ng mga body cells as well as for the production of new cells. So therefore, protein synthesis is essential for maintaining yung life process. Then another function is for animals' growth and development. So connected na to kanina sa structural component na function. Okay? Then endocrine control as hormones. So ganun din, na-discuss ko na din sa metabolic activities. So parang they aid in body metabolism. Just like for example, yung endorphins, no? Yung endorphins natin, which are the stress hormones. So we call them as peptides, which is a protein. So ang ginagawa nila is they are found in the brain and are involved doon sa suppression ng pain. Then yung production, nasabi ko na din yan kanina that they are essential for the formation of egg, yung milk protein, yung wool, and even yung mga hairs ng animals natin. Okay? Then lastly, ang pinaka-importante din sa lahat is they are one of the sources of energy. So they supply energy to the body. Now, next one, the structure of proteins can be considered under four basic headings. So we have the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure. So kapag sinabi natin na primary structure, yung mga proteins natin, they are built up from the amino acid in a means of linkage. Okay, so ano yung linkage? Between yung alpha carboxyl group of one amino acid and then yung alpha amino group of another acid. Okay? So etong type na linkage na to is known as the peptide linkage. So there are large number of amino acids that can be joined together by this means with elimination of one molecule of water at each linkage to produce polypeptides. So yung term na primary structure, it usually refers now doon sa sequence ng amino acids along the polypeptide chains of proteins. Okay? The next is structure are the secondary structure. So in secondary structures, the peptide chain, no, yung peptide chain will exist in the form of a right-handled na helix. Okay. So kung makikita natin sa picture, the spiral is stabilized by hydrogen bonding between the amino and carboxyl group of adjacent na amino acids. Now for the tertiary structure, dito naman, it describes how the chains of the secondary structure further interact through the R group. So just go back sa biochem ninyo, meron tayong tinatawag na R group ng mga amino acids. Okay, so I will not dito kasi class, dito sa proteins and even with other nutrients later on, gagamit na ako ng mga technical terms kasi I know na you are already familiar with the different technical terms when you took your biochemistry. So, gumagamit na ako dito ng mga technical terms kasi tawag nito, na i-present naman na sa inyo kung ano yung mga terms na to. Okay, so ano yung mga tinatawag natin na R group ng mga amino acids. So sila yung nagdi-dictate ng structure and size ng amino acids as well as its nature. So etong interaction na to will cause the folding and bending ng polypeptide chain. So yung specific manner ng pag-fold will give each protein its characteristic na biological activity. So take note that for tertiary structure, this is stabilized by hydrogen bonding, sulfur bonding, or yung S bonding, I should say, yung self-bridge between amino acid and acidic amino acids and certain na amino acids like yung alanine, yung ano pa ba, yung phenylalanine, and yung valine, in which the R group is non-polar. Okay? The last structure are the quaternary structure. So yung mga proteins, they possess this kind of structure if they contain more than one polypeptide chain. So yung fours, okay, the force that stabilize this is yung hydrogen bonds and electrostatics or yung mga salt bonds formed between residues on the surface of the polypeptide chain. So eto yung sinasabi ko kanina na R group, okay, shown in the red circle, wherein etong R group na to in amino acids, they usually vary for different amino acids. So pag sinabi nating R group, this is the remainder of the molecule or any other group attached to the carbon atom. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi nating R group. Now there are key points here. So it says here number 1, at the cellular level, amino acid and not protein per se are needed for various metabolic functions. So dito na papasok yung sinasabi natin kanina na true protein tapos yung mga non-protein compounds. Okay? Then thus proper nutrition is based on the quantity and balance of amino acids in the diet. So Dito rin papasok yung sinasabi natin na essential tsaka non-essential na amino acids. Okay, always take note here na pag sinabi natin na essential amino acids, they are essential in the sense that they need to be acquired doon sa food or doon sa diet mismo ng mga animals. Ang non-essential amino acids, we do not see it or we do not conclude them that they are non-essential in the sense na hindi sila importante sa animal's diet. Non-essential in the sense na they can produce already yung mismong mga amino acids na yun doon sa katawan nila. Okay? Kaya it is not necessary anymore to provide it on the diet. Okay? Yun yung difference between non-essential tsaka essential. Essential kasi kailangan mo pang ibigay sa diet nila. Non-essential kasi yung mismong body ng animals, they can already produce that one. Kaya it is considered to be non-essential. Okay? So, huwag kayong malilito doon na dahil sinabi na non-essential, hindi na siya importante. Importante pa din, pero when it comes in giving nutrition, hindi na siya essential kasi nga meron ng capability yung katawan ng animals to produce that one. Okay? Then the amount of protein in the diet has profound effect on the cost of raising animals. So, dito na rin papasok yung isang mismong main description ng protein wherein it is very expensive. Kaya dito din nahihirapan yung mga animal raisers natin. Okay? Then protein supplements are expensive item to furnish in the diet. Oh, so eto na. Parang magkadugtong etong number 3 tsaka number 4 na key points. Okay? So I hope with these key points, you have really understood yung mga previous na topics natin about yung mga proteins. Now, meron din tayong tinatawag na classification of proteins. So we have yung mga fibrous proteins which are insoluble and very resistant to animal digestive enzymes. So they are composed of elongated and even filamentous chains which are joined together by cross linkages. So we have 3 examples for this one. We have yung collagens, which are the main proteins ng mga connective tissues. So just take it down that these collagens make up about 30% of the total proteins in the mammalian body. And yung hydroxyproline, yung pinaka-importante na component ng isang collagen. Okay? The next one, the second is yung elastin, which is a protein na nakikita natin sa mga elastic tissues such as yung mga tendons and arteries. So si elastin, it is rich with alanine and glycine na amino acid. Now for the keratins naman, sila yung mga proteins ng mga hairs natin. Okay? So yung mga, and even yung mga hoof, kaya kung titingnan ninyo, doon sa mga shampoo, so meron tayong tinatawag na keratin. So kasi nga sila yung mga proteins ng mga hairs natin. And then yung mga hoof and even yung mga nails. So these proteins are very rich in sulfur-containing amino acids, which is the cysteine. And just take note that yung wool ng sheep, it contains about 4% na sulfur. The next classification are the globular proteins, which include now yung mga enzymes at saka antigens and hormones that are proteins. So first one are the globulins. So ito yung mga proteins na present sa itlog and even sa milk and blood. And they are the main reserve protein source sa mga seeds. So they are insoluble in water but can increase solubility by changing their salt concentrations. The next one are the albumins, which is water-soluble and heat coagulable proteins. So etong albumin naman, they occur sa mga eggs and even sa mga milk and even blood and some plants. And then for the histones, they are basic proteins which occur doon sa cell nucleus. Okay? So where they are associated with DNA. So they are water soluble but not heat coagulable. And in hydrolysis, they usually yield a large quantity ng histidine and lysine. Now for the protamines, sila yung mga basic proteins of relatively low molecular weight which are associated with nucleic acid and are found in large quantities in the nature and even doon sa mga germ cells of vertebrates. So yung mga protamines, ang amino acid naman na marami sa kanila ay yung arginine. The next one, we have the conjugated proteins. So pag sinabi natin na conjugated proteins, these compose of simple protein combined with non-protein substances as prosthetic group. So we have six. Then first are the glycoproteins, which are yung etong mga to ay conjugated proteins. Take note of this with one or more heterosaccharides as prosthetic group. So in most of these proteins, the glucosamine or the galactosamine or both, in addition with the galactose and mannose, sila yung present dito. So always take note that these proteins are component of mucus secretions. So ano tong mga mucus secretions? These are found doon sa stomach, doon sa linings ng stomach. So since acidic ang stomach, ang ginagawa ng mga mucus is they cover and protect the linings of the stomach of the animal. So nag-a-act sila as lubricants. The next one are the lipoproteins, which are proteins conjugated with lipid. Kasi nandito na, from the word itself, lipoproteins. So they are conjugated with lipid na lecithin and cholesterol. So they are the main components of cell membranes and they usually play a basic role in lipid transport. Then another conjugated protein are the phosphoproteins, wherein pag na-hydrolyze itong conjugated na protein na ito, nag-yield sila ng phosphoric acid at ng mga amino acids. So ang best example for these proteins are the casein. So saan natin matatagpuan ang casein? So usually sa milk. Then yung phosphatin, dito naman is sa egg yolk. Okay? Then fourth, conjugated proteins are the chromoproteins that contain pigment as a prosthetic group. Okay? So always take note of all the prosthetic groups of the different conjugated proteins. So ang example naman for the chromoproteins ay yung mga since pigments, we have yung hemoglobin, hemocyanin, cytochrome, and then yung mga flavoproteins. Then fifth one is the nucleoproteins, which are compound of high molecular weight and conjugated naman siya with nucleic acid. Okay? Then the last one, we have the metalloproteins. So this is a large group ng mga enzyme na proteins that usually contain metallic elements. So such as nandito na yung iron, cobalt, manganese, zinc, copper, and then yung magnesium. So they are essential part of these proteins, itong metalloproteins, itong mga elements na to. The next classification of proteins are the derived proteins. So in other books, wala to, pero based on the reference, meron kong mga proteins na to. So I've just included it. So we have the derived proteins. So pag sinabi natin derived proteins, ito yung mga substances na na-formed from simple and conjugated na proteins. Okay? So that is why I have presented a while back yung simple at yung mga conjugated proteins. So kapag nag-join lang sila together, these are now the derived proteins. Okay? So ito yung mga substances na. So meron tayong dalawang example for it. We have the primary derived proteins. So if there is a slight change sa mga protein molecules such as etong mga metaproteins at coagulated proteins na to, they are called as primary derived proteins. However, if there is a large change already doon sa protein structure, yun naman yung tinatawag natin na secondary derived proteins. So ito yung mga proteins na precipitate by the phosphotamstic acid. So working examples are the proteoses, peptones, and then yung mga peptides. So etong mga secondary derived proteins na to, we will meet them palagi during the digestion and absorption process. So you will encounter these three proteins na to in the succeeding discussions. Then we have the last one, which are the other nitrogenous compounds. Ito yung non-protein na nitrogenous compounds. Ano naman itong mga to? Ito yung mga substances which are not considered to be a class of proteins na nandoon sa mga plants and animals. Okay? So yung mga amino acids like yung glutamic acid, aspartic acid, alanine, serine, glycine, and proline, they usually form the main part of the non-protein na nitrogenous fractions sa mga plants. So other compounds, yung mga nitrogenous na lipids, yung mga amides, purines, even yung mga pyrimidanes, nitrates, and alkaloids, they are those ones naman na in addition, no? In addition na na-form sa mga non-protein na nitrogenous compounds natin. So in addition, meron din mga members or classes of the B vitamins natin, yung mga vitamin B complex that usually contain nitrogen doon sa structure. Okay? So, aside from this amino acids, so meron din tayo mga sinabi mo kanina, and in addition with the B vitamin complex. Now, those are the classifications of proteins. The next one, we have the classifications of amino acids. So, ito yung absorbable form ng proteins. So, kumbaga na-hydrolyze yung protein with the aid of the different enzymes. Ito yung mabubuo, which are the amino acids. So, these are being categorized with three groups. We have the aliphatic amino acid, the aromatic amino acid, and then the heterocyclic amino acid. Okay. So for the amino acid, so we have this one, the amino acids, so we have glutamate acid, base, and muscle. So ito naman, ang na acid lysine chain, amino acid test of all the amino acids, lysine low, acid test, amino acid base test, at itong boost lang with all these amino acids. Here now, steps kanina, yung classification ng amino acids is essentially, pwede silang i-consider as essential tapos non-essential. Okay? So, yung pala ang mga amino acids natin, they are empty. And other meron sa pero ang sila yun for now is empty. Amino acids, they are being divided between essential and non-essential. This is essential amino acids. The same goes for the non-essential amino acids. Usually, I'm using this one as a mnemonic source every we have the alanine, valine, threonine, methionine, arginine, tryptophan, is used in general. Meron other pieces, meron din sa ginagawa na based on animals. So, I'm showing here as valine, mas yun mas nabigyan ng mundo. Steps aming private market or private market lang po. Private market. In addition sa private market, we can add glycine, we have calculates markets, as additional essential. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na mnemonics in classical amino acids. So, ito na. So, after that, so kanina is private market. So, ito naman is private input. Sa inyo na ako yung screen. Pwede naman po. And we have the learning basic directives whose name are about additional mnemonic na. And then, ito naman yung mga non-essential amino acids natin. So, I have already mastery studies na essential amino acids na pero in general, they are not essential in body. Ito yung structures ng amino Okay, so ito na, yung sinasabi ko, yung mga naliliit amino acid in livestock and proteins. Sinabi natin na naliliit amino acid, so they are present in protein in the least amount in relation to the listed. For that particular amino acid, so strong is actually strong, it's useful. Ang pinaka amino acid is the lysine. So, ito yung pinaka first amino acids mga spine diets because the requirement of lysine is greater relatively amount of LLPP. Kaya sige or no, the main is yung mga business ko ang pinaka-main diet yan is corn or yung mga corn soybean based diets. Kasi all about tignan natin yung lysine component. Yung lysine component ng this diet nila is no corn. Kaya tinatawag natin na most amino acid kasi relative foods amount ng pinag-upay natin most diet na mababaw din. The next point is leading. We've already discussed earlier yung main barrel naman na recipe. So when it comes to poultry, the training and systems on layers, cells, boilers, it is the ICOs. Kaya syempre, kung hindi na natin, they are also important sa base. Yun yung concept behind ano yung main amino acids. So, what I mean dito, main essentials on the essential yung main acid yun. Main amino acid acid yun was diet. Pero, kahit naman, ano yung ibigay for certain base diet, mapapapin. Kasi yun yung mismo common na diet mga animals natin. So, ang gawin natin dito is yung profile additional na amino acid para give yung